Alright, so here we are.
Чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася. Чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну розвеселимо.
Far away, freedom calls. Like a burning flame, tears and blood will never fall. Welcome to Ukraine. Freedom calls. Like a burning flame, tears and blood will not give fall. Welcome to Ukraine.
All right, everybody, check on into the stream here on February 23rd, 2023, day 365. 1 year. 1 year. Here we are. War in Ukraine, and it's not done yet. War in Ukraine, and it's not done yet. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another night of Ukraine war coverage. I'm Andrew Mercado, and I have a special guest for us this evening. And let's just get right into it without further ado.
Okay, how about now?
All right, there we go. Radio check.
Hello, hello.
All right, everybody. Now you should be able to hear Operator Starsky. Let me get a thumbs up in the chat, everyone. We're good to go. All right, all right, all right. So we were just talking. He got as much rest as he can get. You got to realize, guys, it's 3 a.m. in Ukraine right now. So he is gracing us with his. He really is gracing us with his presence. He did over a 2-hour stream, which for more details, because I'm not gonna make him go into extreme details and relive the. You know what I mean? He's doing so many interviews, and he did a great stream today on his channel, which is Operator Starsky. He went like a 2-hour in depth. He had the map up, and he did things that I don't think he's done before in terms of explaining his situation. But I have a few questions that we're going to get into tonight. But now that we have the audio connected, I was asking him, how's your mouth feel after your procedure that I heard you had done?
It was awesome. It was awesome, and I hope it will never happen again because it was so.
What was it?
I had my wisdom tooth removed, and I had like 4 stitches.
Oh no!
But anyways, like it's nothing compared to what some serious traumas that people experience in Ukraine.
Absolutely.
Time to time.
How long has it kept you out for? Or has it even kept you out? Like, what is your duties now? I mean, what do you do while you have a mouth situation?
So currently, I'm having a lot of interviews almost every day because it's almost basically a year since the beginning of the invasion, and a lot of people, a lot of journalists from different countries, they're curious to know how it happened on the first day, and specifically in Hostomel. So yeah, unfortunately, you cannot find a lot of people who participated in that battle today. The reason for that was because there were not a lot of people defending Hostomel in the first place, and majority of conscripts already finished their service. Other people are involved into more serious business like Bakhmut operation at this point. So basically, I'm the only person who doesn't do anything important. That's why I do all those interviews.
Oh, you're very important to all of us. So, which is huge. And as much as I'm sure that going into it over and over and over again has to be tiring, and revisiting that. And then just over explaining it, I mean, can be tiring, but I do thank you for that. And you're absolutely right. It's hard to find, Ukrainians that were out there during those times, and listening to your stream today, which again, you guys highly recommend. Go back and subscribe to Operator Starsky's channel, and also tune into his, you do daily streams, correct, as well?
Almost daily.
Yeah, daily. He does daily updates, but today he gave the most in depth you're likely gonna get out of all the interviews. I'm sure you guys will see Starsky on big mainstream news, interviews, but he won't get to explain it there as much as he did on his stream. But one of the things you mentioned, and that I listened to today, was you mentioned the use of conscripts. Could you just explain the difference in how Ukraine employs conscripts and how we see how Russia employs theirs, but could you just explain how Ukraine employs those conscripts in battle, or just in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't. to be short,
There you go.
because according to our legislation, we cannot bring them to the front lines. We cannot use them as a combat force. Basically, conscripts in Ukrainian army, they do all kinds of supplies and patrolling the base and things like that, guarding gates. But in case the city where this conscript is serving becomes a front line, then unfortunately he has to fight as well together with everybody else. And it happened in different cities here in Ukraine, such as Kharkiv, for example, and Sumy in the beginning of the invasion. And unfortunately, the same thing happened in Hostomel 1 year ago.
So that's just, I mean, so it's like, it's not that it's never happened, Hostomel, perfect example, but Ukraine doesn't send untrained, like they wouldn't send an untrained conscript that just got mobilized to the front lines in Bakhmut right now, for example. But if the conscript, is in Bakhmut and that's where they're training, and if the Russian, offensive got to those lines, then they would defend. That makes sense because what all we've been seeing in this new Russian offensive in the east is on a third line Russian conscripts that have no rifle. Sometimes it's just wild to see. But another thing that you explained during your stream today too, it was about 2 hours of conflict. Lots of helicopters, and we're talking about the Battle of Hostomel, you guys. And again, I'm not gonna make you go too in depth on things. Just reliving that again. But you explained that you were able to actually inflict serious damage on these Ka-52 helicopters with small arms fire. Could you just talk about that for a couple minutes?
It was insane because when my guys that were with me, and I'm talking about our military firefighters, my press center was located next to the fire station at our base, and we were fighting together with those firefighters. When they opened fire on Russian helicopters, my first thought was that it makes no sense. But they managed to damage one of those helicopters with their rifles and machine guns, which means that basically we fell victims to Russian propaganda. So we started shooting those helicopters, trying to shoot them down or damage them using just our small arms. But it works. It works. My theory is that when you shoot at those huge air intakes that those Ka-52 alligators have, probably some of the bullets can ricochet down into the turbine and damage the turbine. Probably, I don't know. I'm not sure. But it worked.
I'm glad. I mean, I'm super glad it did. But when you mentioned the Russian propaganda, victim of the Russian propaganda, is that more so like the gravitas of like these helicopters, and what you thought that they represented, like this mighty Russian military, and when they showed up, and another thing you mentioned in your stream was the helicopters, you said they used like everything that they had, and it was just like a full send basically. Like it was like what I mean? They just tried to bum rush it, and then obviously what they tried to do was use that airport as like a landing base, and then they would be able to further operations from there. How many approximately? I know you said it's approximate in your stream because there isn't like a solid number, but approximately how many were shot down, if you could guesstimate?
So we know exactly that we destroyed 6 helicopters. There were 3 Mi-8 helicopters carrying troops with troops on board. So they did not manage to land. And there were 3 attack helicopters. 3 of them, they are still there in Hostomel to this day. You can see them if you're here. And one I didn't see closely, but I know about it. And 2 where they performed controllable landing, and those were Ka-52 attack helicopters. They were damaged, but not completely destroyed. And our authorities later took them, I think, to study or examine those helicopters at some of our facilities.
Wow. And those are still visible in Kyiv, right? Did they put them up as like a display, or are they just there still?
I didn't see them in Kyiv.
Okay.
There's actually plenty of videos of those helicopters that were found there next to the airport. And there was one famous video that was made by actually Russian pilot that was shot down, and they landed and abandoned the helicopter. So it wasn't like completely destroyed, but it was sort of damaged due to the fire.
Why is it you think? And I saw your tweet today. Another thing, go follow Operator Starsky on Twitter because he is very gifted at roasting the Russian propaganda. Why is it do you believe the Russians? I mean, maybe in your thoughts, why they think it was such a victory? Specifically, your tweet today that you had win at. They want to make it like it's a great battle of victory. What is that?
It's because, according to Russians, if you don't have any sort of victory to share, what you can do is basically create one. And because it was like the most miserable loss that they could imagine during the very first day, during the very first morning, they decided to turn it into some kind of victory, But again, the reason why you cannot find a lot of people that can talk about Hostomel that day, it's again on Ukrainian side, is because those conscripts, they finished service, and our troops are involved into Bakhmut operation at this point. But in Russia, it's mostly because they died.
So the stories never get to live on because they get to create new stories because they all got killed out there. And now it was the 72nd Brigade, correct? That was up there.
Yeah, there was 72nd Brigade that is based in Bila Tserkva, but 2 days prior to the invasion, because we already had information that Hostomel may be under attack and things like that. 72nd Brigade was relocated closer to Hostomel, almost like they were stationed at the outskirts of Hostomel, on the other side of Irpin River.
Which is amazing because the 72nd Brigade recently has become more well known for their victories in Vuhledar and just destroying those. And it's the 155th again, correct? Like he's smiling, but they beat them. They beat the actual 155th. But now what we've been seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the new 155th. They're like backfilling it with Mobics, correct? At least from what we've been seeing.
Yeah, they're filling it with Mobics. They're filling it with recruits, with scarce recruits, of course. But again, the quality of their soldiers decreased dramatically, almost 10 times, because there are some people in Russia that still have some experience of like Chechen wars. But again, those were not victorious wars, actually.
Right.
Maybe some of them remember like Georgian war, but again, not a lot of them were involved into Georgian war. That huge army that they had, those 150, 190,000 men that invaded Ukraine 1 year ago, and those that spent almost a year training in Belarus, because they had those trainings there for almost a year, basically. They were all wiped out during a year, and so they lost their most trained troops in this meat grinder, and what they can do now is just bring people that have absolutely no experience, that are that have even lower motivation, because Russians don't really understand what they do here, even though they're fed with this propaganda about like my God, fighting Satanists. And Nazis and like whatever. but they don't really understand why they have to die here. Um, like, what's the purpose of all this? If you have a life, it's the most precious thing that you have, and you have to give it for, like, for some purpose, and there's absolutely no purpose here in Ukraine. So they don't have motivation whatsoever. And another thing is that in Bakhmut, we basically saw this about a week ago or something like that, when they send their soldiers into attack, and they have multiple attacks per day. Yesterday, for example, we had 90 attacks in just 24 hours. They sent those soldiers almost completely without fire support from tanks, from artillery. They still use their artillery, but not as much as 1 year ago.
Right.
And currently they lack armored vehicles and tanks to support their infantry.
Right. And it's so bad. We did the calculations yesterday. The Russians are out there at 824 losses a day average. I think the numbers came out 2,000 losses per 100 yards that they do gain. So we did the math yesterday at that average. It would take them over 12.5 million soldiers just to get halfway through Ukraine, just to get to Kyiv. Millions. And it's just unfathomable to think about. Another thing you had talked about in there was the propaganda of it all and what the Russians believe that, they are. And in your stream today, you had mentioned how they believe that the Ukrainians would receive them, how they thought that they were going to be welcomed. Could you just talk about that for a little bit on all that in that situation?
Yeah, because some of our soldiers, first of all, we had no casualties during this fight in Hostomel. We had only one guy slightly wounded, but several of our guardsmen that were defending the radar station that were located quite far from our main troops, they were cut off from the rest of the troops by the Russian paratroopers, and they were taken as prisoners. But in about a month, we managed to bring them back. They were exchanged. So they told us that during the interrogation, the Russian officers that interrogated them, the first thing they asked was, why did you start shooting? Like, why did you shoot at us? We came to liberate you.
What a silly.
It's insane.
That means they have to be so believing their reality. What was the initial reaction out there when you thought that? What was said? Like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, because we found a lot of documents. For example, among those wrecks of Russian vehicles, right? We found a lot of documents with their routes for their vehicles, for their with all those waypoints through Ukraine and stuff like that. So they did not expect any resistance in Ukraine. They basically wanted to roll through Ukraine and take control over multiple cities without any resistance. Of course, they brought some. Again, it's a very funny thing, because in Hostomel you could find a lot of those. They brought like rubber bullets to disperse crowds.
Right?
Yeah, they brought like shields and batons to for the crowd control, riot control.
Basically, kind of what we saw in Kherson when they came in and they had the non-lethals, and then they started shooting into the air. We watched that whole thing, and like that's what we were. Just to summarize it from our end, and what we were doing is, and I got to be real with you. I mean, I wasn't in tune with Russia and Ukraine at all before the invasion begun, and I'm gonna be so honest. I was playing Madden Football, which is a video game, on the 23rd. So a year ago tonight, at this time, I was playing Madden Football to a very large audience. I had about 2,000 in my audience. So it was a a lot of people, and a lot of people came in my chat from my news platforms and said, "Hey, did you see Vladimir Putin's speech? Did you see this? Like, or Russia's invading Ukraine?" And that's basically how I started. Was I told my video game stream, I didn't care. There was so many people. I said, "Listen, you guys can come over and we're gonna go live really quick and just check on Ukraine and see what's going on." And I ended my gaming stream, fired up this, and I mean, then here we are. But we watched it, the absolute dismay of the Russian military while during the videos were posting, and just watching it, and we were fearful at first because we saw the amounts of the helicopters that were in the air, and it didn't look good, like, you know what I mean, just from sitting here, and watching it. But then after we started seeing the Ukrainian victories, and that's all we saw from then on point was, yeah, the Russians amassed a large amount of people and helicopters, but from that moment it was nothing but just watching Ukrainians destroying Russian equipment, the Russians themselves. It's just been a nonstop. How long do you, I know this might be a broad question, but the amounts of losses that they've been taking, do you have an idea of how long they are going to keep this going? Because it's not even a winning effort within Ukraine. It's not like even if you look at it as an analytical point of view, trying to which is hard to do anyways. Russia's not doing anything that's going to give them any type of a victory within the country. So just in your point of view, how long is this going to go?
We gotta admit that Russia is a big country, and they have a big population. Okay, like 140 millions. So they can sustain those losses for quite a while. They can easily recruit more people, mobilize more people. So basically, they can send hordes and hordes of that cannon fodder to Ukraine for years. But they will not do that forever. And the reason for that is you cannot just bring like millions of people to Ukraine on foot, right?
Right.
Without vehicles, without trucks and tanks and BMPs, because modern wars are not fought like that. It's not World War II, even though Russian field manuals and Russian doctrines didn't change since like 1947.
Right.
But you cannot just bring millions of infantry to Ukraine, to the front lines on foot, and expect to win the war. The experience of this war actually showed us that the one who has more artillery and more modern artillery with longer range, with better precision, the one who has air dominance, the one who has better tanks and more tanks, and knows how to use tanks, he will prevail. And that's exactly what we see in Ukrainian army, because again, Russian military potential is decreasing every day,
Getting worse.
with them losing tanks and artillery every day. And again, let alone the fact that they have deficit for their shells.
Right.
At the same time, military potential of Ukraine is growing every day, because we will receive Bradleys and tanks and more artillery and long-range weapons. So we can pretty much predict the results.
I'm glad that we've sent those batches. I hope that they can continue, and the ammunition continues. Because the other thing that we learned too, and this was actually not through like one of your videos, but we were watching a separate video that was doing like a little history on Hostomel. And what I learned was it wasn't even, and we watched it through videos too, but obviously through the analysis of it, it wasn't that the Ukrainians ever got bested. You never got bested by strategy, or as if like the Russian military had any type of technique that was better than the Ukrainians that was going to get them ground. It was just the fact that the Ukrainians ran out of ammo, right? Because they continue to just send waves of human beings at your defenses. So I just hope that, I mean, I'm glad that the batches are, and I hope that they get there soon. The other thing that was mentioned too was combined arms and how quickly Ukrainians can adapt to using, multiple facets of warfare. We've seen it. We've literally been watching it. Some of the drone units and how they've adapted and what it's just amazing to see the capabilities of the Ukrainians. One thing I wanted to talk about too before we leave Hostomel, and you talked about it in your stream, was and this is going to be was the smell of the Russian positions, or just like how when the Russians left, because the other thing we do see is the Russian fighting positions and how much of a squalor that they are. Could you just touch on that really quick on the Russian presence that is still there?
One of the worst things is the smell of the Ruski Mir, Russian world.
Oh dear.
Because it's a very distinctive smell of like feces, urine, genitals, and ashes and death, basically. It's something incredible, but you will never forget this.
Jeez.
And it smelled absolutely identical in our barracks that were used by Russians for like a month. In those houses that were looted by Russians in Hostomel. I used to live in one, and by the way, I lived in the house. You remember that picture of Russian paratroopers that stuck in the elevator? Yeah, so that was my elevator.
What?
And
you think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. Yeah. What? Wow. Go ahead. Sorry.
they looted that house completely, and it's a big house actually. And this smell is still there, I think.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
I was listening to that, and I was like, when you were talking about it more extensively, which again, go subscribe to Operator Starsky's YouTube channel and listen to his Hostomel story more in depth, including that part, which he talked about that a little more extensively. And I was like, oh dude, that's so disgusting, because that's what we see. I mean, we watch it, we can see their fighting positions when Ukrainians clear a Russian trench, and we see their fighting positions. It's just full of trash and garbage and squalor. And the other thing you'd mention was, or you can talk about it for a second, was how close that they shit to where they ate. Like, you saw like a position, right, where you saw how close they did shit to they eat? How close is it?
Kind of close, because in our barracks they didn't use our toilets for some reason, and we had toilets on each floor in our barracks, and they were completely working, functional, But for some reason they clogged those toilets with sand.
Sand?
I don't know why. Don't ask me. It's a mystery to me. And they took shit just like 1 meter away from the place where they were sleeping or eating, because saying that they lived like pigs would be an insult to pigs. It was hilarious. Actually, I made a video on that. It's still on my channel, a video from my barracks. And it's highly advised for you to watch it, because like there were like battles of urine and piles of feces and things like that. Oh my god.
It's just embarrassing. It's just, that is... I'm sorry.
And funniest thing, I didn't mention it, but you can imagine all those piles of like feces and garbage and bottles with urine and stuff like that, and they left a message on the wall for us, and message was, was
Was it in
saying,
shit? Was it in shit?
no. But anyways, so you can imagine this picture, right? And the message was saying, you gotta learn how to fight faggots.
Just the level of degeneracy that they will go to. I'm surprised. That's why I was wondering, did they write it in shit because that's like the type of actions that they would do, or they'd use like a diaper or one of their tampons that they use for bandages, and then use that from like the dude. It's just it's so many, and even not even just that, but the rhetoric. Did you see? I know you commented on it just a little bit. The fight against, or the what was it? The Rage Against the War Machine rally in Washington. Did you get to see any of that? Any comments?
Um, yeah, I saw some very interesting video of a Russian man who attended this inhumane event,
Right.
and actually he was carrying a Ukrainian flag that was attached to his bicycle, and it's somewhere on Twitter actually. He was asked, there was a video with him, and he was asked like, what does he think about all this? And he said, I was just cycling here, and I saw all those people, and I'm Russian, but I support Ukrainians because I don't support what my country does to Ukraine. That's why I'm here with Ukrainian flag. And in my opinion, that's one of the best Russians that I saw. Because there are two types of Russians. They are either good,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't talk usually. They don't move, and there are normal, decent people like this one.
From what we can see, like what's considered a good Russian, I want to smoke with you too. What's considered a good Russian is like just somebody that will fall in line, doesn't really question, but also kind of goes along with it. You know what I mean? We've seen some street interviews from other YouTube channels, so we've gotten a little idea of how Russians, receive information and how they regurgitate it. And it seems like good Russians just seem like you know what I mean? Someone that wouldn't step up or stand up to what's going on. They would just kind of go with it.
Yeah, I can tell you this: good Russians are people that you cannot see using thermal vision.
They don't have any. They don't have. Oh, I see. Makes perfect sense to me. That's simple as that, right? We've seen how many Russians have we seen with thermal vision too in the East? That's another thing we've been seeing. How have you been maintaining your mental health through all this? How have you been? You know what I mean? Because it's been a year. We're gonna keep going. It seems it's no end in sight. But you've been not only been able to experience it firsthand, tell the tale here as you continue to do for the rest of the world. But then also tomorrow you have to wake up and do your job. How do you continue? What do you do to maintain?
We don't have other choice here because we're fighting for survival, while Russians are fighting for their ambitions or whatever. Ukrainians are fighting for survival basically, and we have no other choice. So I think one of the things you should do to keep your mental health is to probably reward yourself time to time with something that you like. I like sushi.
Let's go.
For example, and in Bucha we have this McDonald's reopened. So I visited McDonald's recently. It was like 2 days after this dental surgery, and worst thing that was that I could not open my mouth, so I had to squeeze that cheeseburger inside. But but I was so happy. And actually, Bucha, I'm impressed that even despite all the horrors those people went through, This city is full of life. We are opening and reopening different stores and McDonald's. I expect to see KFC there as well.
Wow.
Sometime, yeah. But we have a lot of different places there we can visit, and McDonald's, of course.
That's amazing to hear. I'm really glad that those areas are getting rebuilt. And is it those areas affected around Kyiv? Has it just been a big or what has the efforts been like for reconstruction around the area?
There was huge international support. Actually, as for this area of Irpin, Bucha, Hostomel, I know that around 100 architects from around the world are involved into rebuilding this area, and they are led by Japanese architects, some famous Japanese architects. So I think that soon we will not recognize those places at all. And one of my favorite malls in Hostomel, by the way, was rebuilt completely because it was completely destroyed. The building where it was situated did not exist, but they managed to rebuild it like very, very fast. And just a couple of days ago, they reopened that mall. So I can say that we have like incredible international support in this regards, and a lot of like volunteers and architects from different countries of the world. They work to rebuild specifically this area of Irpin, Bucha, and Hostomel.
Absolutely amazing to hear. Before we continue, we're doing a fundraiser really quick, and you guys are at nearly $2,000 raised so far. Nearly $2,000 raised for a 1 year later Ukraine fundraiser. Really quick, please donate to our Ukrainian fundraiser while we're having an amazing conversation here with operator Starsky for Razom for Ukraine. They raised thousands of dollars for humanitarian efforts and also just local and the front lines, everything. They've done a whole bunch. We've raised for Razom before in the past, and they're just a great organization that we can continue to support. And also tomorrow, you guys, for the 1 year for us, we'll have that third-party website, and we'll have a couple of the frontliners PayPals that they have for walkie-talkies, radios, and generators. We can also have that tomorrow in conjunction with our YouTube fundraiser. Starsky, before we continue, is there anything that you can see that is needed that like somebody like my channel could, you know what I mean? Oftentimes we ask you like, what could Ukraine need? And then it's, you know what I mean? Like we know, but for someone like my channel where we can do fundraisers and whatnot, is there anything that you recommend that I direct my money towards, or like see other fundraising money? Is there anything like somebody my channel could do to really affect a certain portion of Ukraine?
Well, because I'm a patriot of my brigade, we have this special charity that helps my brigade. It's called Vatra, and it's run by girls.
Okay.
Who do incredible work. They deliver gear and drones to the front lines, to our guys. And recently we asked if they can create some like separate account to help our brigade.
Right.
And they agreed. So those girls, basically, you can help them, and they will help us.
Let's go. And how do we get to those links? Do you post them in your videos, or?
Actually, I don't, but I will give you links.
Yes, please.
I can provide you.
Awesome. Okay, we'll work on that after. So just a few more questions, because I know I want you to get back to sleep, and I'm sure you have so much stuff coming up in interviews. What's your take on well, first Belarus, and then we'll talk about Moldova. But what is your belief on systems being sent to Belarus? Do you think Belarus will invade? Just talk about that for a couple of minutes. What do you think about that?
We can see that Lukashenko, Mr. Mustached Potato Head, he's trying to avoid being dragged into this as much as he can.
Right.
But he's not controlling Belarus, okay, in the first place, and Russia can use them. I think they will use Belarus again as their launch pad for their invasion, but at this point we cannot see those assault groups being formed, being gathered on the territory of Belarus. So currently, like, we cannot talk about this attack happening anytime soon.
Okay. That is the
Yeah.
that is a positive news. The only thing I saw today, and we'll go through it tonight, you guys, is just the Ukrainian border guards that are out there trolling the Belarusians, and they don't like that too much. But talk about Moldova. Is that any different of a situation, or what's your take on what's going on now with that area?
So we heard that Prime Minister of Moldova talked about Transnistria. They talked that this area must be demilitarized, and as we know, it's occupied by Russians since, oh my God, 1992. And they still pose a threat to Ukraine, but not a big threat, because the number of personnel that they have there is not that big. It's something a bit more than 1,000 men, I think.
Right, 1,500, I think, max.
Yeah. They had kinda some tank army there, but it's not an army. It's just a couple of tanks and 1,000+ men.
So, do you think that they will move in, like they will move in to Moldova? And also, is that breakaway region, is it even heavily controlled by those two? I think it's like 2 brigades of Russians. That's it. Like, what is that? We looked into that at the beginning of, because I'm telling you, Starsky, like when I started diving into this, I didn't know anything. I'm not even going to pretend to be like one of those that I knew where Ukraine was, but I definitely didn't know where Moldova is. I didn't know where Belarus was, because I'm an idiot, and I just, we're ignorant here. But now that I'm dived in, is it that serious of is it a threat from those Russians in Transnistria to Moldova?
Let's put it this way: they can try and attack in the direction of Vinnytsia, for example.
Right.
But 1,000+ men, it's nothing, actually, and they will be eliminated very, very quickly. Same with Belarus, because the northern direction, that northern span of the border. Currently, we have like all kinds of mines, all kinds of long-range artillery aimed at that area, all kinds of troops stationed there to prevent another possible invasion. So they don't have enough personnel to invade and to do some serious damage. But on the other hand, they can still do that in order to distract our reserves and in order to stretch our defense. Probably distract some of the units that are used as reserves in the area of like Donbass, for example. My brigade as well. So if they try, they will die, of course.
Right.
But still, Russians have this saying, avos, which means what if, and they always rely on this, like what if.
It sounds
so they can try.
And if you can't say, that's completely fine, but I mean, would Ukraine come to Moldova's assistance if like that did happen? You know what I mean? Like, you know, if they did move in from that little strip away, would Ukraine assist Moldova there?
Why not? Why not? I mean, we were cooperating with Moldova for quite a while. Again, I cannot talk on behalf of our
Right.
higher command
Right.
in this case, but personally, I would like to participate and help them. Um I remember in 2016, 2018, 2019 even, we had mutual military exercise here in Ukraine involving military from Moldova. They're great guys, but of course it will require different type of planning because it will be offensive operation and it will require some serious amount of people to be involved into this. But I would love to help our Moldovan friends.
Sounds like it would just be a finally just rid that little strip of, you know what I mean, of what they think is, you know, and it sounds just like a similar situation to the how the Russians are like they treat Crimea or like these annexed portions of Ukraine, which is absolutely just ridiculous. It goes back to the what if situation, and that's so perfect how, and I'm gonna remember that now because that's literally how the Russian propaganda is too. When we watch that every single, because I play like one clip on my stream so that way at least my audience, you know, like hears what the Russians are saying. It's often the same exact words, the same exact narrative. You didn't watch Vladimir Putin's speech, did you?
I had more important things to do.
Yeah, like he probably had to, you know, use the bathroom or something. I don't
Yeah,
blame you.
it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, what he says, guys, we should stop listening and watching to Russian media at all because it makes absolutely no sense. What they say is like they are known for producing bullshit in huge quantities, and that's the only thing they can do correctly. So, in my opinion, we should just stop because it's like it's wasting our time that we can spend on doing something more important.
The only thing I think people like watching it for is just to roast it at this point. It's not to like, and full good point. That's a great point. But that's literally what it is people aren't watching, at least from my end, they aren't watching it to receive like information. It's to laugh at them, which I guess, you know, I see exactly what you're saying. It makes perfect sense. I also heard today in your stream, and I didn't know this, and I forgot to ask you this the last time we had talked, but you're a first lieutenant. You're a sir. Like sir, like I'd have to. So I'm like I was an E5 sergeant when I was in the army. So I'm a non-commissioned officer. So I'd have to salute you. I have to salute Starsky, you guys, if we ever saw each other. And nah, I'm cleaning. But some good personal news is you're actually up for. I heard you're up for a promotion soon. You might be Captain Starsky soon.
According to our law, yeah, I think that this year, and I didn't even think about it, but the other day Max reminded me that actually I will get promoted as well, and he's already a captain, even though he's my subordinate. But
Wow, Max is a captain.
Yeah, he finished his military academy as a lieutenant, and this is how he became lieutenant faster than me. So, but bro, you don't have to salute me because I was an NCO myself.
Oh, let's go.
And yeah, once a sergeant, you're always a sergeant.
Those are the best officers. The one, and I'm not, and no dig on officers, you know, that are trying, but the best officers that we had, and we had the best CO because he was an E7. Before he was a sergeant first class, and then he went to a school and got his you know, he became an officer then. But dude, straight up, those are the best officers in my opinion that have prior service experience, especially as an NCO. Wow, backbone of the army. Backbone of the army right there. So you're a little bit. Talk about that really quick. What are some challenges that are, because I was military too, so I can really tap into this with you. What are some of the challenges that you had that are different from when you were an NCO as a sergeant in contrast to now that you're an officer, as you're like a first lieutenant?
I was a sergeant in the infantry battalion. I
Oh,
was
shit.
a platoon first sergeant, and then I was a company first sergeant. So I was supreme sergeant of the company. I had other sergeants as my subordinates. And I can say that we had probably the most kick-ass sergeant corps in my brigade, because we did amazing things. But there are so many challenges for an NCO in the army, and I'm sure that you had the same, because you have to be simultaneously loving mother for your soldiers.
Right.
You have to be like punishing evil god. You have to be a teacher.
Can't be their friend.
You have to be friend, of course, but not too friendly, of course.
Right. Balance.
And you have to spend all your time with your personnel, because they all have problems. You have to remember their birthdays. You have to know all their problems, all their personal problems, because when your soldier has problems at home, he cannot be completely dedicated to the brigade, to your platoon. So you have to talk to him, and you have to solve his problems and things like that. Of course, there are people who bring problems, so you gotta know how to deal with those. And it was always like that in the army. So there was this evil screaming sergeant who like always I don't know, punishes you and makes you do push-ups and things like that.
Oh yeah, we all have that one.
Yeah, and then there is this absolutely positive and friendly CO, right? Your company commander, and he's like friendly dude who will like meet soldiers like once a month, 100%. And he will be like, "Hello, boys, how are you? I hope you feel fine," and yada yada. And then he goes away and he calls you and says, "Make those bastards do 50 push-ups because they're not shaved," you know. And then you gotta play this evil god and punish them, and it was so cool. And of course, you gotta do push-ups together with them, because otherwise, you will be like
wow,
disrespected. So
hold on, you did push-ups with the soldiers,
of course.
Oh, so of course, so that is controversial, because in the U.S. Army we had a little bit of a spat, because it became a new rule actually when I was a sergeant, that sergeants had to get down and do the exercises with the soldiers. But you try to tell that to an old sergeant, when I joined the military, nope, that sergeant would sit there in a chair. My drill sergeant in basic pulled a stool into the room, and we knew it was over with at that point when he brought the stool in, and he put that stool down, sat right like that. All right, front lean rest position move, and he just sat like that in cadence. Exercise 1, 2, 3. He did it for a half hour straight. 1, 2, 3. I didn't think he would stop. And the walls sweat and everything, because you get the perspiration going. And so wow, so you've lived number one, I wasn't combat arms either, so you've had a little bit, definitely more experience than I do. I was a truck driver, so I was more in logistics. I was a gunner for a little bit, but I wasn't a gunner in like serious operations. But wow, I didn't know you were a prior service NCO. What are some things that you use now, or as an officer? What are some of the responsibilities that you had as an NCO that you use now, or some of the techniques that you had when you were out there leading soldiers? It's not that you still aren't, but like as an NCO, you were like out there with them. Like you said, you knew their birthdays, and you knew their everything about them. So are you still like that as an officer? Do you still try to be like that, or is there more of a separation now with your soldiers?
I think it remains with you forever
Let's go.
because you are
Good officer.
more disciplined than than officers. Probably because, like, you know, every time you walk into some your colleague's tent, for example, and you see that mess,
Yeah.
you go like, oh my god, like I would make you do like 1 million push-ups just for that, if I was your NCO. But yeah, it's a different story now. So like, even though officers have different lifestyle, they not like they're more lazy, because again, we don't respect much those officers that don't that are not military enough.
Same
right?
way here, bro. It's the same way in the U.S. military too.
Yeah.
Same exact shit.
So among the officers, we try to educate those that don't correspond to our standards.
Right.
Yeah, and also we have our sergeant major, my best buddy, Stas, and sometimes he helps in this regard. So sometimes he can educate other officers as well, because basically he's deputy commander, even though he's NCO.
Wow.
Yeah, but I can tell you definitely that this remains with you for the rest of your life.
I love to hear that, because I mean that's the exact same dynamic in the U.S. military of officers. Because some of them, I mean, in the U.S. we have like three routes for officers. There's one you can go to college, you know, and then you go to ROTC and you go through like a little military program, and then you become a lieutenant. You can go to officer school at Fort Benning, OCS, which that is a little bit more respected than the ROTC guys, but because you got to actually go to school. And when I went to airborne school, they did run the whole thing, like they were running the whole time, and it looked like they were getting smoked a bunch. So it didn't look too easy. Their barracks looked like Disney World, but definitely the officers that had the prior NCO experience, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You know what I mean? The standards of operate. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. For civilians out there, it's like when you're an NCO and you're in the military for so long, you have understanding of how it works and the camaraderie and what it takes to build morale. You know what I mean? Where you can push, like Starsky just said, he knew his whole soldiers everything. You know, he was very close to his soldiers, and that so reminds me of like my commander, because I still talk to my CO that I was deployed with, like on Facebook. I still give him shit about being a Gamecocks fan because he's like, I know him, he's from Nebraska, like, you know what I mean? It's so true. Like I know all about him, it just goes to show overall like the differences in like the Ukrainian military and how much you guys, the quality of soldier and how much you care for each other, in regards to the zombies that are trying to infect your country. It's just wild to continue to see. I don't want to keep you too much longer. I feel like I could talk to you for 2 more hours, but you have so many other interviews, and you know what I mean. Thank you again for staying up late with me for an hour here, and my audience. Is there anything you would like to mention or leave us with before I say goodnight to you?
I would like to say thank you. I will be always grateful for for the help provided by decent people from all around the world to my country, and I want to thank you for being decent and for being awesome and for supporting Ukraine, because this is a right thing to do.
And thank you so much. It feels like the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Like common sense I mean, even my analytical brain that I try to tune out the emotions, and it seems like it's so common sense, like what Russia's doing to Ukraine, and that lack of support. It's not that, again, it's like, it's almost kind of like we're saying double speak, but we're not. As long as we continue to support Ukraine and give them ammunition, those systems, they will destroy the Russians. They have been. You know what I mean? After a year, as we've talked to Starsky, the Russians haven't changed their tactics. They're not living long enough to be able to employ them and learn new, you know what I mean? They're not able to, like, even just in Bakhmut, you guys, right now, the same strategy on Bakhmut is the same strategy that they tried on the entirety of the country, and it's failing. So Operator Starsky, thank you again so much. I hope to have you on again. I know you're going to be a very busy man, so I won't bother you for a while, but maybe in like a couple months we'll tap back in and have a conversation, or I'll come on or whatever, you know what I mean? I love having you on.
Thank you so much, and be safe.
Thank you so much, Operator Starsky. All right, you guys, please go subscribe to Operator Starsky's YouTube channel. Let me pull it up really quick for you guys. Let me pull it up. I'm so happy to have him on. And I had my my other web browser isn't working for some reason, my Google Chrome. So we're gonna have to do a lot of this in my Microsoft Edge. How was that, guys? Pretty good interview with Starsky. Let me pull up his YouTube channel. Here's his YouTube channel. You can't miss it. You type in operator, I'm pretty sure it's gonna pop up pretty quick. And then again today, like he did a 2.5 hour a piece on Hostomel, so he really went too far. He really went in depth on it. So I didn't need to go to, you know, he's going to be talking about it so many times. And I mean, I served in the military, so I would assume repeating like combat experiences over and over and over again would be it's going to tire him out. So we don't need to do that to him here. So obviously go back and watch that if you guys would like to. But I'm Andy Mercado from Mercado Media. We're going to be going through all the latest news and events over the next hour. I got news, mainly just combat videos to go through. There hasn't been a whole lot of newsy related events. I'm gonna do a little map breakdown, so I'll show you guys what the latest territorial changes are on what we're looking at here. But here's the numbers. Here is the numbers as of February 23rd, 2023, 790 troops. So that's 145,850 troops, 6,593 APVs, 5,215 vehicles and fuel tanks, 3,350 tanks, 2,352 artillery systems, 2,029 UAVs, 471 multiple launch rocket systems, and I'm not reading the rest of those. It's just lots of numbers, but you guys can see they're just under that 824 some total of troop losses. The other thing I want to mention, you guys are doing awesome at 1,000, dude, it went up $3,000 raised out of the $10,000 goal. This fundraiser is going to be going for the next few days. So if you watch this after the fact, you can still donate. The link should be attached to the video. So if you're like, again, a lot of my viewers are Europe and they're sleeping now, but when you wake up and you're watching this, the donation button will be there through the rest of the weekend, so you can participate. Thank you again. War Diary from John Sweeney. Vote for Mike Siegel worthy of chair, and that doesn't sound like a war diary from John. Oh, looks like they had him on a few programs. Here it is. Here it is. War diary day 365. Lots of tomatoes in Kyiv. Brexit was a rare Russian victory. Orange hats in the chat for John Sweeney.
Of Russia's war against Ukraine, and I'm in my local supermarket in Kyiv, and behind me are the tomatoes. And by the way, if you're looking for fresh fruit, you can get a flavour of it. And here's the whole spin around the whole place. So the thing is, and this is absolutely true, in Kyiv there are no food shortages whatsoever. And in Britain, thanks to Brexit, people are struggling to find tomatoes. So why on earth did Britain vote for Brexit? It was an act of economic self-harm and also a threat to our national security, because we were rude to our friends and neighbours in Europe.
Thanks, Billy.
While the Russians and the Chinese have been laughing at us. I believe that Brexit was a Kremlin goal. I suspect that Russian dark money helped pay for Brexit. To this day, we do not know how often Aaron Banks met, for example, the Russian ambassador and his staff. or concerned deny any wrongdoing, but we don't know the true source of Britain's biggest political donation ever, and that was the £8 million that Aaron Banks gave to the Brexit campaign. That is very, very concerning. I believe that also that Donald Trump was elected with the help of the Russian secret state. So it's quite simple. If you're asking yourself, where are tomatoes? Why is it there's tons of tomatoes in Kyiv and none in London or in Britain, or they're difficult to get hold of? Well, the answer is the Kremlin conned you, and that's not good. Love from Kyiv. This war is almost a year old. Will be tomorrow. Vladimir Putin, do fuck off.
Well, at least what we're learning now over time, that Brexit wasn't the best of decisions for the UK for their trade and their for their goods that they got. You know, going completely solo, you know what I mean, is not the move. It's bad for your economy. From Kyiv, Julia HP1, aka Julia Heartless Bastard. What the fuck?
Remember the time of election, one of the awful journalists, they called you Julia Heartless Bastard. Do you remember that?
Christina Neil Hamilton did, yes. I was quite proud.
I think it was me. Remember.
Isn't she, is she a good reporter? I think we've seen her before. Damn, John. I think it was me. Damn.
Hello, my name is John Sweeney, and I'm a reporter here in Kyiv, which is obviously the capital of Ukraine, and everybody here wants the Russian army to fuck off and to join the European Union. And I want the Russian army to fuck off, and I, as a British citizen, want Britain to rejoin the European Union. And the best person to chair the British European movement is my pal Mike Galsworthy. He's a great asset to the movement. He's got a ton of energy, and you know what? He's not a former spy in the KGB. He might actually stand up for British interests.
Oof.
Rather than sell our interests and our national security out to the Kremlin. So, vote for Mike Galsworthy for the chair of the European movement in Britain. If you do, the Kremlin won't like it.
That was a big Kremlin move. I believe that too. See, I'm a little conspiratorial.
Hello, my name is John.
But at least that conspiracy, you can like draw the lines and connect the dots. Those dots can be connected. You know what I mean? Whereas like other conspiracies just are like based on what ifs, like Starsky said. You know what I mean? That one you can like do solid dot connections. Update on Bakhmut, 23rd February from Kianan, one of the defenders in the east, and the situation in Bakhmut.
Друзі, вітання. 23 лютого. Наразі в календарі брат Льолік. Друзі, якщо коротко, ситуація в місті Бахмут залишається напруженою і тяжкою. Цілодобові атаки. Прямоходячі шлунки все-таки намагаються пролізти, обійти наші позиції з півдня і з півночі. Бої на околицях міста, в полях, в окопах, в посадках, піхотні бої, артилерія, танчики, міномети. Все працює. Але завдяки нашій мужній піхоті Бахмут стоїть, Бахмут тримається, і Бахмут наразі під українським прапором. Якщо коротко, що можна констатувати? Давай пару слів до наших людей. Що по Бахмуту?
Бахмут стоїть, Бахмут це Україна і буде стояти. Тримаємось, друзі, разом допомагаємо один одному і все буде добре.
Ви почули. Бахмут є, був і буде українським містом. А ти, маленьке буде бункерне мило.
About Putin, his tiny bunker mole moth.
Уже моль. Моль. У вас уже здохло там 7 штук, чи вже 8 є цих муйлов, то маємо надію, що всі ці одинакові вже виздихають. А хоча, що вони виздихають? У них там жмур лежить із 17-го чи з 24-го року у центрі жабокваків. Не забальзамований і не похований. Це хто?
Ленін?
Ага.
Ну це Ленін.
А це якийсь, я не знаю, що вони там собі думають. Його ж захоронити треба. Коротше, ви зрозуміли, яка країна, блядь, такі герої. Слава нації, де смерть ворогам.
One thing you guys I haven't asked you is to please like the stream if you haven't yet. Engage with the stream, like it, subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube, follow the page if you're watching on Facebook. If you haven't done so yet, that'd be huge if you could. And also comment what city, what state, where in the world you are watching from. As a highly qualified railway worker, Oleksiy, originally from Lyman, Donetsk Oblast, was assigned to aviation upon his mobilization. Instead, he went straight into infantry and is now destroying the occupiers in Bakhmut as part of the 214th Special Battalion Op 4. Is this? Oh, this is translated, so we'll be good. Oh, jeez. I think I fucked it up. Oh, okay, my Chrome's working again, so I'll be able to pull up my YouTube links now. That should work. Hold on, let me see. Yep. Yo, before I was going live with Starsky, you guys, I was freaking out because my Chrome, just as usual, just shit out. So I couldn't have the chat on screen or anything. I made it work. I just put the Ukrainian map behind us, but I had like things set up for like, I was going to have videos playing behind them and all types of stuff. But my Chrome just like shit out before there. There you guys are now. Not bad. Okay, so let's watch this clip here. Highly qualified railway worker Oleksiy, originally from Lyman, Donetsk Oblast, was assigned to aviation upon his mobilization. Instead, he went straight into infantry and is now destroying the occupiers in Bakhmut as part of the 214th Special Battalion. So let's watch this. It's going to be about a 6-minute combat video here, as well as some interview.
Хто не знає.
Вітаю, друже!
Підписаний на вас на YouTube.
Дякую, друже, приємно.
Wow.
Працювала людина з слюсарем. Класна, кваліфікована робота.
Тепер у мене набагато цікавіша професія. Тепер я за посадою гранатометник.
Скільки тут на позиції вже знаходишся?
В Кліщівці це, саме на цій позиції перший раз. Були другу посадку тримали. До цього був Солідар. В Солідарі був. Ну, в Солідарі трошки попроще, звісно, було. Тут більш нахабно вони лізуть, я так скажу. На Солідарі ще я хочу сказати, що дуже класно 93-я бригада працювала. Так що, дуже сильна бригада така. Так.
А ти добровільно перевівся в піхоту?
Так. Ну, то, що ми прийшли воювати, а в авіацію попали, то не наше, нам там не цікаво. От 214-й АПФОР – це саме те.
Скільки місяців ти переводився з авіації?
3 місяці. 3 місяці це тривало. Це дуже важкий процес, бо кажуть, що з одного роду військ в інший дуже довго переводиться. Потім були місяць в розподільчому центрі, і там дуже хочу подякувати Дмитро, є такий, який займається набором людей, то дуже хочу йому подякувати, він все нам допоміг, щоб ми сюди потрапили. І от я зараз відчуваю себе на своєму місці, де я маю бути. Саме за цим я прийшов.
Клас. Як тебе звати?
Олексій.
Олексій. Ти звідки?
Місто Лиман, Донецька область. Вивіз родину, ще не було жодного прильоту в Лиман. Кацапи десь там були біля Кремінної, але вже було чути вибухи, все, евакуював родину. Спочатку в Дніпро, а потім в Полтавську область. Спочатку жили вони в школі, я з ним, поки не пішов в військкомат, попросився добровільно, щоб мене призвали. Все, як мене призвали, родина ще деякий час пожила в школі, а потім, коли я вже попав в армію, в учебку, познайомився з моїм бойовим побратимом, все, і в нього була квартира, і він пустив, зараз у нього живуть там, в Полтавській області, в Опішні.
Ага. Да, друже. А ким до війни ти працював?
Слюсарем в вагонному депо, збирав колісні пари. З 2007 року.
Нічого собі. Професійний залізничник.
Да, 5-го розряду. Слюсар 5-го розряду, колесна роликова дільниця.
Спеціальність.
Да. Так от. Закінчив Славянський коледж транспортної інфраструктури. Так що, так от.
Да. Ну тут же вони кажуть, що росіяни, що вони тут звільняють Донбас, да? І тут ти якраз насправді Донбас захищаєш.
Ні, ну це ж все їхня клята пропаганда. Це ж вони просто засирають мізки навіть свої, не тут людям. Тут люди, більша частина розуміють, що Лиман, поки не прийшли кацапи, він був дуже красивим курортним містом. А зараз, коли туди нагрянув руський мір, який вже відтуди вигнали з 1 жовтня, він же ж зруйнований повністю. І зараз вони ще продовжують наносити ракетні удари і авіаційні удари. Так що люди розуміють прекрасно, де руський мір, там смерть і розруха. Так от. А оцю пропаганду вони ж вливають своїм царським бабушкам, дідушкам. І там уже люди починають розуміти, але просто кацапи, вони ж не українці, вони ж не вільні. Тобто вони будуть терпіти це, я не знаю, довго. У них немає духа свободи, як у нас. От і все.
Друже, скажи, як
Like they're completely jealous of everything Ukraine has
тобі взагалі служба
and is.
війна в 214-му спеціальному батальйоні ОПФОР у піхоті?
214-й батальйон, це супер, просто я не знаю. Я ж кажу, я там, де я маю бути, і мені тут дуже подобається. Все, так от. Дуже міцний батальйон, дуже така взаємодія між людьми, злагодженість. Все. Командири прекрасні. Все добре, все добре.
До командирів довіра в тебе є?
Да, довіра, все є, снабження дуже добре, БК, все, набої, все є, все, зброя. Є, тобто є чим зупиняти цих клятих вилупків. От.
Добре. Друже, я тобі дуже вдячний за таку мотивацію, за службу, за те, що ти обрав самий небезпечний шлях на передовій у піхоті, маючи дуже багато можливостей отримати броню, десь, можливо, на якійсь базі тилу.
Ні. Всі нормальні дядьки, котрі переживають за свою родину, за своїх дітей, мають брати автомат до рук і гнати цю кляту нечисть, а не відсиджуватись десь в тилу і ховатись. І все. Це наша земля, ми маємо її боронити. Як так? От і все.
Як ти думаєш, що є якісь шанси у росіян захопити Бахмут?
Та ні, вони ж не вмотивовані. Ми вмотивовані, ми стоїмо тут, бо це наша земля, а їх просто гонять в спину і все, женуть. Дивиться там, хто там ще їх женуть, все. Тобто, вони лізуть, бо їм назад шляху немає. Але ж вони тут всі лягають і все. Залишаються тут всі.
Контактні бої тут постійні?
Да, постійні. Постійно стрілкотня.
Я тобі дуже дякую за захист, за оборону, за те, що ти тут на передовій. Так, ось як воюють українські залізничники. Отак.
40-мм
There's a 40 mic grenade launcher, like a separate. Obviously, you can have one of these attached to your weapon, but this is like on its own, separate.
Дуже класна річ. Даруночок вам пляші москалів.
Українці Донбасу б'ють по росіянах-окупантах Донбасу.
Wow. What a clip there. Just giving a casual interview while they're returning fire, huh? Returning small arms fire, and they're also, you can hear the bullets whizzing in, and they're just sitting there having an interview. Like Starsky said, just doing what needs to be done. That's the mental health right now of it all. It's just there's a task at hand. The Russians are invading, and the requirement at this time is to kill as many as they can to prevent them from entering into the country further. That's basically what the task is, and the Ukrainians have accepted the mission. They're full on accepted it. There's no other way around it. Solidarity with Ukraine. Russian embassy in London. Little minute clip here. Check this out. Let me get blue and yellow hearts in the chat first. All right.
Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми твою червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну гей-гей розвеселимо. нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо, а ми твою стрілецькую славу збережемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо.
That's the group led by donkeys, an activist group in the United Kingdom. So they've done some other stuff before, it looks like. There's a photo. And the Ukrainian flag paint, yep, at the Russian embassy. My still favorite embassy moment was when a guy from Ireland drove his company truck through the through the gates of the Russian embassy last year and said, "All right, here I am." Drove that shit right through their gates. Here's some more. This is from the Russian side. Head of the Wagner PMC terrorist group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, arrived in the areas of Bakhmut, which again, these, keep in mind, they make these areas seem like they're taking Bakhmut, right? But this is all geolocated to the far east of the city, which is where the Russians are. The Russians are in the eastern portions of Bakhmut. The flag still flies in Bakhmut. They haven't taken it yet. They still maintain control of the T0504 highway here over the city. But Prigozhin, who's so desperate now at this point, and he's like put a line in the sand, it seems. He's the former Putin's chef, hot dog boy. He owns his own private military now. And that's the Wagner group, and they're the ones that have been doing the heavy lifting of the Russian effort in Ukraine, in the northeast. I say heavy lifting very lightly. They've been taking thousands upon thousands of losses alongside the Mobics. So they've been doing, but they've been, in terms of like the yards and kilometers gained out here in this effort, they're the ones that have been getting the most of it. And that's why there's been kind of a rift with Prigozhin, who leads this garbage, and the Russian Ministry of Defense, because as Starsky mentioned earlier too, the Russians they're low on artillery. And the trolls will say, well, so is Ukraine. But the offensive force here, and the one that continues to push this invasion forward, is the Russians. So that's why we say that the Russians are running low, and it's not like you got to be unbiased and say the Ukrainians are running low too. It's the Russians are running low because they're the ones invading. It's their actions here. Ukraine will stop needing defensive weapons and ammunition when Russia stops its offensives. That's how it's going to work. It's not the other way around. It's not that Ukraine, and that's what they want though. They want Ukraine to stop getting aid and ammo, to stop repelling this, so that way they can just freely take Ukrainian cities. That's really what they want to do, right? That's the both sides argument. They just want Russia to freely just engulf cities with their garbage. And as Starsky said, you can get the image in your head. They leave a smell. They do leave a smell. He said that they're still there. If you watch his stream, some of the Russian positions, it's still bad. Like, it's literally like an infection, like an infection here. And the obviously we know that the Russians are pigs, and Starsky said it'd be a diss to pigs to call them that. But there's no other way to describe what's going on here. But that's what the both siders would want. They want just the Russians to engulf these cities. But regardless, Ukraine holds. Bakhmut still holds here in the east, and the efforts that the Ukrainians did have to the northeast on this E40 highway, they liberated a portion of it. It does look like that did get buttoned up, but the Ukrainians still maintain control of the southern highway and the T0504 highway right here that connects to Chasiv Yar to the east. So they still have a free flow out of the city, and also they can get, it's not like that's the only way. There's other roadways here. It's smaller terrain through these villages and whatnot. There's other roads back here, like, you know what I mean? It's not like this is the only way out. There's still other roadways. And also this is an elevated area here to the west of Bakhmut. About a 200-meter elevation that's looking down upon Bakhmut. So even if they, that's why we continue to see the Russians getting hammered here, because the Ukrainians have a bird's eye view of them already. Even with they're behind the defenders of Bakhmut up here in the mountain in the hills, so they're watching both their defenders in the city, but then also they can still visibly like see the Russians that are coming in from these villages. They can physically see them already. So, you know what I mean? And again, it's not even a matter of if they will, because Ukraine's going to liberate all of this back, including Soledar. It's like this is temporary conversation. This is temporary conversation until the Western systems get there, and then all of this just goes back under you know what I mean? All of this is just going to go back under Ukrainian control, and then all of this analysis that I'm doing right now is going to be just a moment in history. It's going to be a chapter in the Russian invasion history book here. It's, you know what I mean? It's going to be here today and gone tomorrow. So regardless of what Ukraine's doing here, the effort by the Russians isn't one that's going to win them anything. It's failing them Bakhmut. They can't even push this city. And now it's becoming, the Ukrainians have the long-range missiles now. So now they're going to be able to hammer Popasna and even further back. So they'll hit the Russian rear areas. Like, let me pull this up. They'll be able to hit like way back. So even when the counteroffensive begins, right, when this counteroffensive starts, any rear bases here that the Russians have that are further in Donetsk or even in Luhansk, because you know that they have the Wagner Cope line is like right here. They put these little dragon's teeth. It's like this, goes like this, and then it breaks down here, right? Just a little Cope line, little triangles out here. So, but Ukraine with the ground-launched small diameter bomb that we've seen them use on Mariupol and in other places, now that they have the long range, will be able to hit, again, I don't know if they have bases back here. I assume that they would. I mean, the Russian military continues to prove that they're like a fourth, fifth rate military, but they should have bases back here for rear to be able to, you know what I mean, where they're injured up here, will go back here and get healed and then go back or whatever, or, you know, supply chains. They have to have bases back here, especially around Luhansk. But regardless, Ukraine will be able to hammer them with the long-range missiles outside of Bakhmut when the counteroffensive begins. So when they begin this forward advance back into this area with the Bradleys and the, you know what I mean, the other infantry fighting vehicles and all their efforts that they're going to get, the Russians are going to have nowhere to run back to. Because while that's happening, the Ukrainians are going to be hammering the rear positions with the long-range artillery HIMARS. They're going to be HIMARSing the shit out of all these rear Russian bases that are super far back. So that way, these Russians up here, where are they going to go back to? They're going to be done. They're going to be trapped back here. And they're going to have nothing to go back to. How do we know this? Because that's what the Ukrainians did in the Northeast and the South. They're going to do it again. I'll fucking do it. If you guys seen that, what's that goofy, it's like a dark meme on YouTube. I'll fucking do it again. The Ukrainians are going to do it again. They do the same shit because they did that here in Kherson. Started hammering before they moved in here. They started hammering Russian positions over here, right? When these were Russian positions, and then they moved in, and that was with the GMLRS with the shorter range. But now they got even more. Now they got even more distance on their rockets and can hit even further back. So this is all just temporary. All of the efforts of the Russians and the scare of them taking Bakhmut is all temporary. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a chapter in the Ukraine war. And the story of the heroes that, again, proved everybody wrong, because all the analysis was to pull the troops out of Bakhmut and preserve them here in the higher elevated areas of these villages. So Ukraine, once again, proved everyone wrong, and they're still maintaining control of Bakhmut, and it's still an effort. It's not like it's a perfect effort where Ukraine is just taking 0 losses and the Russians are having 0 gains, but the Russians will have gains in the eastern portion of the city, but then they'll take losses to the southern portion of the city. Like, as you guys can see, they're getting little incremental gains here in this eastern portion. But just last week, what is it? It's Thursday now. Sorry, at the beginning of this week, the Ukrainians liberated this highway here. Let me put it in purple so you can see it a little easier. Let me delete this. This is my higher elevated villages oval. With this highway, or I could just come right back. Why do I do things? Let me just recircle Bakhmut. Okay. And like I was saying, while the Russians will have incremental successes here into the east, right? There's little incremental successes. It'll be like a give and take. And then next, for example, next week, Ukraine could liberate this portion, right? The north, and then the Russians, it's just like give and take in different portions all around Bakhmut. But the moral of the story is the Russians can't push this city. They haven't shown an effort in which they can just full on push the city, and Ukraine still maintains control of that highway, and they still maintain control of the city. So the cope of it is going to be Prognosin today in Bakhmut here. It's just the translated version. They're obviously going to be framing it as if it's a victory. As if they're having major successes, but again, they don't have control of the city at all. Their forces are in the eastern portions, but this is all just more Russian garbage and framing it as something more than what it is.
Здесь можно поздравить всех парней, которые воюют, которые находятся на передовой, в госпитале. Военных, которые бьются за нашу родину, добровольцев, тех, кто вкалывают на заводе и делают самые необходимые боеприпасы, вооружения. Всех с Днем Защитника Отечества, который сейчас нуждается в вашей защите.
Недели штурмовали. Сегодня утром крайнюю пятиэтажку уже взяли. И уже совсем рядом осталось до центра Бахмута. То есть Артемовска.
А сколько здесь примерно в метрах?
400 метров. Да, противников, да.
Друзья, пойдем, а то наше поздравление будет последнее.
Oh, look at, there they go, they're running. That's Prognosin in Bakhmut. Sounded like a little shelling came in a little bit. That sounded not even close to him, and they sprinted. That's a Prognosin sprint, by the way. That's as fast as you're gonna get him to go. Back into the stolen. Looks like a shed, because obviously that's not their land, so it's someone else's. So Prognosin out there, trying to make him the face of the Russian offensive that has suffered them thousands upon thousands of losses. Let me see, what are we in February? Dude, they've taken like nearly 50,000 losses just in this year, and we're in February. We're still in February. We're not even in the first, you know what I mean? We're not even, like, the year just started. And they've taken 50,000 of these have came in the last couple months. Just stupid. Absolute stupid. Doesn't make sense and never will. Air and artillery strikes against the advancing Russian infantry near Bakhmut. The 30th Brigade watching. This is what we left on last night, but this is where we're going to start with tonight and go through the timeline of all the latest Russian losses, but Ukrainian combat videos. A lot of drone videos going to be coming here from the east. All right, so this is the efforts of the Ukrainians. If there's any other locations outside of Bakhmut, I'll pull them up for you guys on the map as we come across them. If you guys could like the video, subscribe to the channel, notification bell turned on. Combat video time.
Цей вогонь не знає меж. Сонце стрімко йде в зеніт. Відтік враз почне весь світ.
Still in the trenches, y'all, with some Ramstein in the background. On February 6th to the 7th and the 9th, the Russians, supported by IFVs and tanks, attacked Ukrainian positions in the Donetsk region. The forces of the 36th Marine Brigade and the 501st and 503 Marine Battalions destroyed 4 tanks, 8 IFVs, and 1 MTLB.
Різні всі, ми, і нас не взяти страхом, крізь терни йшли, ми своїм шляхом. Не зречуся, і щирість і меч, за тебе б'юся. Перемоги і поразки, бо історія несе, Україна понад усе, як рей, вогонь по венах, ми герої. Сцена, як рей, і все такий юнак із віки, як рей, це свобода, чи завдання Бога, як рей, наша нагорода вдалек карти.
Like a massacre out there, isn't it? Like a massacre. Just watching them. And that's all you can do. Continue donating. Donate in the chat. You guys are doing awesome. 3.1K raised. And then just watch the Ukrainians go to work out there. That's really all we can really do here. You saw that destroyed Russian tank. That was dope. Right here. Goodness. Big javelin. A Russian truck was attacked by a drone from the 63rd Battalion of the 103rd Territorial Defense Brigade. Oh dear. Oh dear. The music choice. What a change. Put main menu music on this one. The Mobic selection screen. Oh. There it goes. Yeah, let's put a Z right on top of the truck so it's identifiable by the drones. That's a good spot. Oh wow, while he was performing maintenance on the truck too. See him? Damn, he was under the truck doing some work. Damn, Ukraine did him dirty. Damn. Truck broke down. Damn, she shouldn't. I mean, you shouldn't be in Ukraine, let alone pull over to fix your truck in the wide open. You know what I mean? I feel like a lesson's there. Number one, leave Ukraine. But then if you're not going to leave Ukraine, I mean, doing maintenance in the wide open out in the middle of the front lines, probably not a good idea. I don't know. Air reconnaissance work of the separate presidential brigade named after the Hetman Bogdan Klemensky, north of Advidka in the Donetsk region. There's no other details. So some more Russians getting destroyed. Oof. Lead vehicle taken out. Oh, they bail. Oh, this song's hype. $40-mile-long convoy? Is that you? Oh wow, there's an infantry fighting vehicle to support the infantry, but it looks like it's too late. It's too late. And it doesn't even matter because it's getting blown up. Oh, that's not an infantry fighting vehicle, that's a tank. It looks like a T-72 from the sky. It could be a T-80. It doesn't matter. Good night, dude. Just good night. The evidences abound. I see so many comments on Twitter from Russia supporters or whatever, or they're subliminal Russia supporters. It may be intentional, maybe not. I don't care. But they'll pretend like there's no footage of the war. They'll call it like a fake war. Well, there's no footage of the war. So I mean, this is just every single day now at this point. I mean, like literally, this takes us probably at least an hour just to go through the clip sometimes. Night work, and it's not like this all the time. There was plenty of time where I just don't have videos, but this new Russian offensive has provided us a litany of video every day. Every single day. Night work of the 108th Mountain Assault Battalion, grenades in trenches. Kind of hard to see what was really going on there. Oh, there it is. Okay. You can see the dark target. Black hot here. I was looking for the white hot targets. You can see the little Russian dots there. And then the explosion. Okay. Black Raven, Episode 3, 109th Assault Battalion. Episode 3. Where's the first two episodes? Oh, dear. It's like a Metal Gear Solid. Who's played Metal Gear Solid 4? It's like the intro to those videos at the menu.
Guerrilla stomping in a zoo. Check the vocals, animal is steroid. All I need more space, so give me more room. Rain any sun, boy, I no be any June. Man got some PF in a suit. You've been hungry, that's why I came with a food. Other bus to learn any proof. Man, game on this, I'm a carpet fool. Man must stop acting a fool. You don't wanna get slow with that hole. I don't care if a man is a big fool. You are just a
Hype. Super hype. Russia and Belarus will block the stream now because of that song. They don't like that song. BMP-2 of the 93rd Brigade fires from the 30mm automatic cannon in Bakhmut. So this Ukrainian BMP is killing it. They're out there. This is a multitude of videos of this thing. Just tearing the Russians up. I don't know if it's the same BMP, but if it's not the same one, then whatever unit out there is, oh my goodness. No audio. Ukrainian BMP, just wait. Ukrainians, the Bradleys will be there hopefully soon. They were in Germany. We know that last week. Hopefully there's no delays or anything, but obviously Ukraine won't. Operational security. We'll know when the Bradleys are there and when you see them in videos. On the Ukrainian, this is what I was talking about with Starsky earlier. On the Ukrainian-Belarusian border, Belarusians complain members of the Ukrainian armed forces continue to demonstrate threatening and indecent gestures towards the Belarusian border guards. I love that. Give him the bird. Yeah, come over here if you want to. Cross that border if you want to. Artillery of the 30th Brigade fires on advancing infantry of Wagner PMC in the Bakhmut direction. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We can see you. Good God. Just getting smacked out there, y'all. That's from the 30th Brigade. Artillery Battalion of the 66th Mechanized Brigade strikes at the locations of Russian troops in Novodiani in the Luhansk region. Here's some more. Another minute. Uh-oh. There they go. Enter the building here.
Пішов москаль по приліску, шукав собі пригоду. Світило з неба сонечко, прекрасна погода. Аж раптом їбануло і здригнулася земля. Болванка прилетіла. тіла молодого москаля. І в москаля немає москаля, немає ніхуя, вообще сама сира земля. Працює артилерія, їбашать пацани, одним кацапом менше, а вторий насирав штани. Сидить москаль в окопі, тримає калаша, в наколках його тіло, а в кишені анаша, аж раптом їбануло і злінь.
Didn't make it, did they? Some more sniper videos. In recent days, soldiers of the Special Operations Center A of the Security Service of Ukraine destroyed 5 Russian tanks and 1 2S3. I could see a self-propelled howitzer. Oof. Okay, so no, this isn't sniper. This is a drone video from the sky, dropping loitering munitions down with some white hot. All right, so that's what you're seeing. Not a sniper. Sniper from the top down. Sky sniper. Nowhere to go. Ukrainian Special Forces soldiers destroy Russian infantry using the Switchblade 300. Kamikaze drones. Oof. So these drones were specifically built to do this. This is what they were built. They're called kamikaze drones. Fly into their target, direct hit. Ukrainians been hitting Russians with like right in the chest. I've seen one where there's a Russian sitting there on like on a hill, on a berm or something. He's just sitting there. I don't know what he's doing. Like, and he's out in the open too. So it's like, you know, and the thing just flies right into his chest, kills him instantly. And it happens. This video, I looked at it earlier. This one is, these are 2 Russians, and they decided to leave their fighting position for a little bit, and they were taking sniper fire. And they didn't get killed, but they immediately returned back. But you can obviously tell it's a Russian position based upon the trash you're going to see on the video. Oh, yeah, that was a bad idea. Oh, look at the trash. Heck, what is that? Is that some moldy bread right there on the ground? Ew. Look at that. Plastic everywhere. Remember, Starsky said you can literally smell this. Like, this has a smell. Said it smells like a whole bunch of stuff. Shit, piss, genital, like unwashed genitals, every disgusting, you know what I mean? It's all of it, all in one. It's just absolutely disgusting what they got. But they are taking sniper fire. They didn't make it far out of their trench line. $3,200 raised. Let's go. We do have a $10,000 goal. I'm gonna attach this stream to tomorrow night as well. So hopefully, if not tonight, tomorrow we can get to this $10,000 goal here. But $3,200 raised. You guys are doing absolutely amazing with the fundraising. All going to Razom for Ukraine. Together we are Ukraine, building a prosperous Ukraine. Razom means together in Ukrainian and serves as a constant reminder of the community that it takes to create, build, and do. Razom creates space where people meet, partner, and work together to unlock the potential of Ukraine. They maintain a focus on the needs on the ground. There's some of their photos. They do boxes. They do a whole bunch of stuff here. And obviously, if you can't donate directly in the stream, I'll put the link to this page in the description of the video. But we'll have another fundraiser tomorrow as well. Here is the in Bakhmut, Ukrainian forces fire Russian stormtroopers with mortars, artillery, and RPGs. Oh, sounds like horror movie music. Thank you for the $20 donation, Memorex. Fat Wong with the $20 super, actually it's not a super chat, $20 fundraising donation. It's a super chat for Ukraine. Ukraine super chats. Oh shit. That beat built and I wasn't ready. Damn. This is like a strange music type beat with like Chris Calico and them. Tech 9 and them. Strange music. Interesting. I was not expecting the beat with that. I thought it was going to be a horror song. FPV drones attacks in Bakhmut. Uh-oh. Russian trench here. Oof.
Орком бути важкувато, хаймерсів у нас багато. Буде тобі враже, як Залужний скаже. Буде тобі враже, як Залужний скаже.
Flying right in there, y'all.
Звика всю ніч палає, звук бавовни надихає. Буде тобі враже, як Залужний скаже. Залужний.
Huh? That's some of the examples of that's what I was talking about. One of these things literally flew into the chest of one of the Russians. They were just sitting on one of these. Like they weren't inside the trench. They were like up on top of it and just sitting. Not doing anything. Not like literally doing nothing. Just sitting there. No weapon either. FPV drone attacks. Some more. Sorry. So they're all frozen over there. A lot of dead there. Looks like the snowdrift got them. They've been there for a while. And then the vehicle too. Damn. FPV drone attacks. Another attempt to break through. The Russians were stopped by snipers from the Special Operations Center Alpha Group. Those damn special forces again. Got them. Good night, dude. Dude. So again, the Russian targets are in the white hot. We've seen a few of the other ones there. For obvious reasons, we won't be watching sniper videos without a white hot screen over it or black hot, because nobody would want to see that, right? Maybe some of you deranged in the chat would, but it's not a sight you want to see. It's especially the headshot. Not good. I've seen some sniper videos without the white hot filter over it, and I'd probably bust community guidelines immediately if we did that. So we'll play sniper videos only with the white hot screen over. Vuhledar direction. Russian tank destroyed. Thank you, Evie. Oof, dude. No, I actually haven't broke community guidelines at all. Facebook, we did once, but no, I actually haven't. I've gotten only copyright, and they'll 18 plus my videos for graphic content, but in terms of like showing too graphic of videos, I've never once been hit by any of that. So because I know I'm careful. There's a line to cross, but we don't cross it. A Russian self-propelled howitzer or tank was attacked by a FPV kamikaze drone. Oh, let's go. One year. Drones have changed the war. So we've already hit the exact 1 year mark, I think. I think 11 minutes or 12 minutes ago. 1 year ago now. 1 year and 12 minutes is when we I started tuning into the what Russia was doing. Let's take a look at that really quick before we return to some more of the combat videos, just to revisit it for a second, because it's not like it's not like a holiday or like something where we need to stop and spend a whole stream, because we're still in it. It's not like it's done. You know what I mean? It's not like the Russia. Look at this. It's not like the invasion's over with and it's it. Still got so much to go. So let's just take a look at this. Can't believe it. Wow. Maybe my thumbnails. Look at my thumbnails have changed over time. Used to look like that. I used to put the map on the background. Goodness. Like the video if you guys haven't too. Before we continue with some more combat videos, we're just gonna take a look, because we have hit the 1 year mark exactly, like right now. Damn, look at that. This was the last thing I did. I was out in the cold the same day, or the day before. Then I played video games on my gaming channel, and then it was this. This is continued. Whatever. This is like a 7-hour stream. We were watching the stock market just. Look at that. Or what was his name that we were tuned into? A Ukrainian. He's got a big YouTube channel. Yeah, man, was I sick or what? And he was live on the ground, and we found him from his feed, and we were watching him from this camera on the ground. We got Illinois tuned in. This is 5 p.m. in Kyiv, so the invasion was already well underway. over 12 hours into the invasion already. I was drinking Kool-Aid, dude. I was so tired.
This guy's out.
I think that's because I was so tired at that point. I think we did like, this was 5 hours into the next stream, and we did at least 7 hours before this. I also kept the stream running. A lot of people were watching while I was sleeping. Like I would literally play the stream. This is all the initial, look at the thumbnails. I would just play the stream and go to bed because it was just like we had live. Look at that. There they are. No, go back. Go back. We were watching them enter the country. Where's those? Hold on. Dude, look at this. Wow, this feels like
I just can get, I can have.
No, there they are. Look at.
I can give you the audio of Kyiv.
Just figuring shit out.
No, actually, I can do it. I could give you guys.
I hate my voice. Well, look at, we were watching them on the live videos. There they are. Oh, there they are. Watch. Look, this is what we were doing on the next morning at 1:00 a.m. on the 25th. Literally watching the Russians enter Ukraine. So whenever they say I'm doing this for a narrative, or I'm doing this just to be like, as if I'm carrying water for someone by reporting on this, it's because we literally, like, I sat there for hours. What was it, 6 hours into watching them creep into Ukraine? We did this for days. That sat there. I had the green screen, this thing. I had this thing up behind me, so that way I didn't block any of it, so we could just see it all. It was all there. We're only going to spend a couple minutes on this with the member, do you remember type shit, because we are into the year now, and we'll see if Russia does anything with live, you know what I mean, with news tomorrow, or if they do any 1 year actions, or if any actions are made. We'll be back into this mode again. We've been in this. There I am. There. I left the stream here. Look at, people were up. I was totally asleep. I literally totally just let the stream run. I would go get a couple hours of sleep and then come back. Chair streams. Yeah, because there I am in one shirt, and then I come back hours later and I'm wearing something else.
Interesting.
Well, hopefully, I mean, I really hope Russia eventually just fizzles out of this. And I mean, then the Ukrainian counteroffensives will just rid the remainder of the Russian occupied positions on their own, like they have been. But I mean, if we have to get back into this mode, obviously, you know what I mean, we'll be back. It's almost the year. I don't think there's any live feeds to do this with, but there's enough sources now that we've accumulated over the last year.
Is asking questions, just help them. Don't be a smart ass. Like,
what was I going at the trolls already? I must have been cutting in on the trolls already.
Help them so that way they're not.
But there's nothing they can say to me, the pro-Russian trolls or anything. That's why I laugh at them, because we watched. Look at these stupid Z's. This is the first day, day one, watching them. And then they broke this camera. When did they break this camera? We watched them do that on the screen. Did they break that camera on this feed? They went and they took a bat to it. Maybe
the first convoy went straight.
I don't know. It's so many streams, it'd be hard to find, but it's back here. You guys can go and find it and clip it. Maybe we can make a reel out of it or something, because you guys can clip streams. But it's back in one of these early days, and I think it's this same feed right here. It's this exact feed, and then they broke this camera. We watched them, sat there and gong, gong. Couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe we were watching it live. I literally couldn't. Listening to the air raid sirens going off, Numiko's and Zabby's feeds. Here, this was all night. Had to make sure that the feeds were the right ones, so we weren't watching fake Ukraine streams, because that's one of the things people were doing, was just like posting fake live streams. That was horrible to try to sift through that. But we figured it out, which ones that we could trust. And we did this all night for hours. I'm sleeping right now during that time. And we've been here. So then obviously the live stream stopped, because that's operational security at that point. And so then that's became what it is now, where I just try to find as much of the the daily news as I can and give it to you guys. But I mean, if we ever did get live streams again and live videos, we've had them. They still exist. There's still live videos in the East sometimes, and I've pulled them up again, just like last week I think I did. So it's not like we won't ever return to that again, or it's impossible. But the level that we were doing last year at this time, I don't think we'll be able to get to that just because of operational security. But for breaking news, like I said, we have so many. I wasn't even in Telegram back then. Now I'm in so many Telegram channels. Like for example, yesterday, the Russian false flag provocation that they're staging for Moldova, I was able to just go into their Telegram and translate their own words instead of trusting someone else's posting on the matter. But I wasn't even in Telegram back then, so just because we don't have live streams, if there's ever breaking news and shit, we can get on top of it pretty quickly. All right, some more combat videos. Another video from the Omega unit of the National Guard of Ukraine, FPV drone attacks. It's a little hard to see here. It's like an old style video. It looks like they just put a filter over it. Russia, though, that's their actual drone quality. That's like, ironically, this is what Russia's drone videos look like without, and Ukraine has to put a special filter to make it look like that. Special Unit Vicar, 129 Territorial Defense Brigade and other units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Just a shadow, it's just a shadow away. That's a good song. Ooh, remix. Oh shit. Oh, dubstep. Okay. Oh shit. It's just... It's just a shadow away. It's just a shadow away. Well, I need that mix. And also, why did dubstep die again? Because like that was fire. Remember, do you guys remember? That was like that was popular when I was a senior / junior in high school, 2010, 2011, early 2012, and then kind of fizzled off. But it's like, damn, it's interesting. All right, now let's go to YouTube now that my Google Chrome is finally working. Ken, have you missed the interview with Operator Starsky we did that at the very beginning because it's like 5:20 in the morning in Ukraine, so I got him on as early as I could to have a chat so he could try to get some sleep because he's got to wake up and do real life stuff about Ukraine, not just talk about it. So let's look at this. France 24 English. There's also one from Sky News too that we can check out. From Kyiv to Bakhmut, an intense, brutal year of war in Ukraine. It's kind of like a review. France 24 has done decent on the ground reporting. They've done pretty decent. Oops. I started from the beginning.
Les témoignages rapportent que les forces russes sont entrées, il y aurait des chars aux portes de Kiev et des combats de rue pas très loin d'ici.
Russia launches a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, attempting to finish what it began in the Donbass in 2014. Yeah, I'll be on tomorrow.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
Ми вводимо воєнний стан на всій території нашої держави.
Yeah, there's the feed we watched right there. Confronted with Russian tanks. The international community wakes up from its torpor.
Some of the most powerful impacts our actions will come over time as we squeeze Russia's access to finances and technology for strategic sectors of its economy.
We're now targeting 70% of the Russian banking market, but also key state-owned companies, including the field of defense.
Всі ми тут, наші військові тут, громадяни суспільства тут, всі ми тут. Захищаємо нашу незалежність, нашу державу. І так буде і далі. Слава нашим захисникам, слава нашим захисницям. Слава Україні!
Слава! Watch that feed. In the space of a year, more than 15 million Ukrainians have been displaced. $8 million of those have fled abroad. 1 in 5 Ukrainians.
There's nothing good there. Just blood, ruins, and all of the wars that war can bring with it.
It's a closed mind way of thinking, Pancho Zach.
Our
Very
daughter.
closed mind.
So we are afraid. My husband is still there.
Ми вже були скільки під цим французи.
Let's go, another $50 donation to Ukraine. Keep them rolling in, y'all. We'll have another opportunity tomorrow night. "10 kilometers from Kyiv, the Ukrainian army stops the Russian advance."
Il y a des bombardements incessants ici à Irpin, une intensification très claire des bombardements et de l'offensive.
The first heroes of this war are born. Wow.
Давай, забираємо їх в машину. Хлопці, виходіть, давай. Стоп, 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 стоп. Давайте виходіть. Виходимо. Виходьте. Хлопці, в машину.
God damn, dude.
Кажу, сідайте, сумку кидайте. Чекай, чекай. Добре, добре, давай, живуй. О.
After 6 weeks, the Russian army retreats humiliated. Leaving behind them battered cities. This is Bucha. This is the mass graves.
Я много раз был свидетелем того, как убивали просто идущих людей по улице. Я видел девочек, которые были изнасилованы. Одна из них – это очень страшная история, которую я никогда не забуду в своей жизни. Это 15 лет. Девочка, ее держали в подвале.
Wow. Wow. The Azovstal plant, Mariupol. In Mariupol in the south, the Russians do not withdraw, they push on doggedly.
О, она пережила разрушенный роддом третий, их разбомбили, привезли к нам.
This was the bombing of the maternity ward.
Все, кто здесь, роженец.
There's the Azovstal. The last Ukrainian soldiers holed up in the Azovstal steel plant.
Я командир полку Азов, підполковник Денис Прокопенко. Звертаюся до світових лідерів. Прямо зараз на заводі «Азовсталь» знаходяться сотні цивільних громадян. Серед них багато дітей різного віку, жінок, літніх людей та сімей захисників Маріуполя.
О завершении операции в полном освобождении комбината и города Мариуполь от украинских боевиков министр обороны Российской Федерации генерал-армии Сергей Шойгу доложил президенту России Владимиру Владимировичу Путину.
That's when the Russians got Mariupol. The city is 90% destroyed. The mayor says more than 22,000 of its residents have been killed. Vladimir Zelensky rallied his allies and calls for weapons.
Не чекайте рокових пострілів, не чекайте застосування Росією спеціальної зброї, хімічної, біологічної, не дай Боже, ядерної. Не створюйте у агресора враження, нібито світ не чинитиме достатнього спротиву.
Artillery came, the HIMARS, the 777s. HIMARS in the chat. Arms deliveries allow the Ukrainian army to counterattack.
Ви дочекалися. І я вам теж не можу передати, як ми раді, що ми вам змогли довести цю допомогу і привезти оцей наш прапор, який реально буде гріти.
Then the mass graves in Izium. The bodies of 450 people, including 414 civilians, are discovered in mass graves.
What you can't see in the pictures is the terrible stench of death permeating this forest. It's not yet known exactly how many people there are here, nor exactly how they died.
This is the bullshit referendum in the 4 regions, the bullshit annexations.
sommes sur le seul checkpoint du pays qui permet aux civils de passer des territoires occupés par la Russie aux territoires contrôlés par les Ukrainiens. Toutes les personnes qui sont en train de sortir des territoires occupés ici nous ont dit qu'elles étaient parties dans l'urgence.
Так як вибори вони проводили, вчора нас ходили з автоматом по хатах, то я представляю, як буде мобілізація проходити.
Просто з автобусом.
Просто з автобусом і в окруженому селі, і все. Вигребли чоловіків. І я говорю, лучше вмерти за свою страну, чим здохнути там за прихоті Путіна.
Moscow annexation ceremony, 30th of September.
Выбора. Люди пришли на референдум и сделали этот выбор. Быть со своей исторической родиной, с Россией.
Despite this annexation, the Ukrainians push on to Kherson. Blue and yellow hearts in the chat. Kherson, 14th of November, 2022.
Also in Kherson for the first time on Monday, President Volodymyr Zelensky, who was welcomed by the waiting crowd as a hero.
Бажаю здоров'я, як ви?
Ура! Дякуємо! Не знаю, молодець, ми йому віримо.
То есть везде были русские военные, очень много людей пропадало с улиц, очень много воровали людей.
Ukrainian authorities estimate that 2 million people have been forcibly taken to Russia, including 200,000 children. In the Donbass, every inch of land is fiercely contested. Bakhmut, Donetsk region, December 2022.
Складна ситуація. Ми їх зачищаємо, вони лізуть як таргани. Ми їх знову зачищаємо. Маємо втрати достатньо, поранених здебільшого багато.
Оце 80-ка лупила.
Ukrainian forces are digging themselves in all over Bakhmut in case the Russians manage to make any significant progress.
They were preparing back in December even further. New Russian invasion, or new Russian mobilization, mobilized more than 300,000 troops so far. New offensive. Western forces announced sending main battle tanks, right? Ukraine is now counting on the 150 tanks delivered by its Western allies to help with its defense. According to U.S. military staff, more than 250,000 people have already been killed or wounded in this war. Pretty damn good summary. Pretty darn good summary video there. I'm not gonna lie. From the reporters from France 24. And then we'll just leave it on that. We'll have more tomorrow. More 1 year summary videos to go into tomorrow. It was a great conversation with Operator Starsky. If you guys missed that, you can rewatch the stream. Just rewind and you can go back and listen to our amazing conversation that we had together So that was awesome. But if you guys want more from me tonight, I'm going to be live on Snack Squad TV's YouTube channel, as always, with my gaming audience playing some Hogwarts Legacy. Part 15, guys. So come on over. Part 15 on my gaming channel for Snack Squad TV. Today, during the daytime, my daytime streams, I'm going to do on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I need Tuesdays and Thursdays to work on my platforms. Like today was great because I was able to get Starsky on and email him. I emailed Civdiv. So we'll see if Civdiv gets back to me. I also want to reach out to Dennis, and we'll get Dennis on. You know what I mean? Just we can have Dennis on Saturday, or you know what I mean? I can have him on any night. But I did reach out to Civdiv, and hopefully we can have a good conversation. He seems like a great guy to just talk to for hours, you know, just like Starsky. So hopefully that we'll get a response from Civdiv, and we can talk to him. Others have been suggested, you know, I've been reaching out, but I need those Tuesdays and Thursdays to reach out to people and also work on my platforms. So, but expect more daytime gaming tomorrow during the daytime. I'll talk about that more with the Snack Squad right after this stream. So that's going to be it from me again. There's the troop number, 790. There's no Russia's losses as of today. Again, 145,850 troops lost. The situation on Bakhmut, the Russians have incremental successes to the north and to the east, but it still remains under Ukrainian control. So the Ukrainian flag flies in the east of Bakhmut. And that's going to be it from me for your Ukraine war news for February 23rd, 2023, day 365. 1 year into the Russian invasion. Thank you guys all again. You guys have raised $3,400. $3,400 out of our $10,000 goal. Hopefully we'll be able to get to that tomorrow. Whereas like for us here, it'll be the 1 year, but it already is the 1 year for Ukraine. They're 8 hours ahead of us, and it started for us on the 23rd here in the West, but the 24th for Ukraine. But nevertheless, because it'll be the 24th tomorrow, we'll likely have some more people in the chat, and hopefully we'll be able to get to that $10,000 goal. I plan to throw in a band myself. I plan to throw in $1,000 from my own money, so hopefully that'll motivate others to help us get to this goal, because that would be absolutely awesome. I don't have anything planned unique tomorrow. Again, if Civdiv gets back to me, that'd be great to have him on tomorrow night. I mean, if there's any Ukraine creators that you would think would come on and have a chat like we did with Starsky, I'm more than welcome to come on, or anyone in Ukraine, you can have them on and talk for a little bit, just like we did with Starsky, no problem. But that's likely it. We have the fundraiser tomorrow, Snack Squad as always, and that's it for me. Thank you guys again so much for having a great fundraiser tonight. I'll be live on Snack Squad playing more Hogwarts Legacy. I hope to see you guys there. Take care. Have a wonderful night. Thank you to our members, our supporters, all the support you guys give. Leave a like on the stream. Subscribe to the channel. Have a good one. See you guys tomorrow night. Take care.